Vanessa.
Actually, that was last week's. That was last week's visit with Vanessa. So you were listening to a recording. Vanessa was busy because she's a busy lady, and Vanessa is now here in the studio. So if you were able to perceive that was a rebroadcast, then good for you. Otherwise, we invite you to call right now. Let me put the camera on. There's Vanessa, getting settled in, and so the phone lines are open if you have any legal questions. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Were you rushed a little bit?
Oh, I have appointments stacked up today.
Just all kinds of legal things.
All kinds of legal things.
So I was waiting for you to come in here because I wanted to ask you something about, well, you had posted an interesting comment regarding the guy, Lloyd, who got the murderer guy?
Correct.
Okay. So what I wanted you to comment on is not his guilt, obviously, but the fact that he had a first, what do you call it? Fill in the blank.
First appearance.
First appearance. And he was super rude to everybody, especially the judge, right?
Yes.
The lady with the lady's voice, the sweet sounding lady.
She sounded like a very nice judge.
She sure did.
Nicer than some of the. I was going to say nicer than some of the judges I have, not here in Marion County.
And talking to this guy who tried to throw his girlfriend's brother under the bus and making it seem like it might have been him, and
there was lots of guns on the scene. That was his comment,
yeah.
Lots of guns. You don't know
so, okay, but the question to you is,
yes.
You hear him say, I'm going to represent myself.
Correct.
Right away, you realize, bad move?
Bad move.
What if he represented, now, based on what he said, this is not likely, but what if he said, I want to represent myself? And then when it came time for the court hearing, he said, Your Honor, this is why I'm representing myself. Because I did everything you say I did. I am just asking you to take whatever action you need to take. What if that was his whole thing?
That's still a very horrible idea.
That's a horrible idea. Why?
Why? Why do you want the maximum?
Because he feels like I mean, let's just say he was remorseful. He said, oh my gosh, I did the stupidest thing. I've killed people. Please take me and do whatever you need to do with me.
Right.
You don't agree with that, huh?
No.
No, why?
See, I have to differentiate between morally and legally. So morally, should you say, yes, sure, go for it, get the max? Absolutely. But as an attorney, no. I don't know.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why not?
Why do you want to be in jail that long or prison that long?
Hey,
it's prison.
It's his decision.
It doesn't mean it's a good decision.
Why? What else can he do with his life now that he's taken lives?
Well, there's people who've taken, I mean, not in this situation. This is a different situation, but people have taken lives and taken that situation and became a different human being.
Yeah, so be nice to the community like the Birdman of Alcatraz. Raise birds and show the world that, there's birds.
That is an option. No, but there's people change. And that is theoretically, I say theoretically, the point of the legal or the criminal system is rehabilitation. It's not really. It's not their focus, but it's a money making.
Punitive, isn't it?
Well, it's more money making. You make a lot of money off of prisoners.
But from a societal point of view, it is punitive.
Yes.
We want to punish people
we perceived who've done wrong.
Who have done wrong.
Who we perceived to have done wrong. Because there's people, they have the whole Innocence Project. And I'm not saying this is applicable to this particular person.
But we don't want people who are innocent to be in there. So yes, perceived is an important word. But we want people who've done wrong to be punished for doing wrong. That's what we want.
Yes.
Right? The other question I want to ask you is this: with the president, what do you call it again, Robin?
Inauguration.
Not the inauguration, but getting commuting sentences.
Yes.
Have you ever made a request to an outgoing president? Can you please commute?
Well, he does federal, so most.
So you've never had a case that was
most
federal?
of the stuff is state, and then you do that with the outgoing governor.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Have you done that?
I have not. No.
You've never asked the governor?
Well, I haven't done. I've been in a firm that has done it, but I haven't done it at my firm. So, the tweak that answer.
So an attorney has to request that, not the ordinary person?
No, the ordinary person can do it, but sometimes people don't always know what to say or how to say it or put their words together correctly, because he not only can he do that, but he could also give people back their rights. They could restore.
That's what happened to, who was the guy that ran for sheriff in Marion County? Bernard, Bernie. How could I forget the guy? Remember when Blair was running?
Bernie DeCastro?
Yeah, Bernie DeCastro. Yeah. Do you remember this story, or were you not here at the time?
I don't think I was here at this time.
Well, Bernie DeCastro was in prison, and then his rights were all restored, and he was actually running for sheriff. He's a good guy. There's an example of somebody who turned himself around completely.
See, it happens.
Oh, I'm not saying it hasn't. I believe it happens. Hey, we're all sinners according to the Bible, right?
Amen. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we all haven't sinned to the point where we need to be put in jail.
Or we just haven't gotten caught.
Maybe just in hell, not in jail.
No, those are my options. I would choose a little time in MCJ. Shorter period of time.
So anyway, when a sentence is commuted, I'm just trying to ask the procedure.
I don't know all the procedure.
Okay.
But you can ask your question. I might know the answer.
It just seems like one person decides to overrule an entire process of judge, jury, attorneys.
Correct.
And they decided, okay, this person's going to be in jail for 30 years, as in the case of Manning.
Correct.
Bradley/Chelsea Manning, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now he is going to come out in May after 25 years early. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's just kind of totally upsets the apple cart that was established by the rule of law, by the courtroom and the judges and the attorneys.
Okay, so where's the exact question?
How do you convince one person to change the minds of a system that...
They're not changing the minds of the system, they're vetoing the system. That's a wrong word. It's not the actual word.
Why can't they do that before they leave office? Like, why do they have to do it only toward the end of their term?
Approval ratings, the ramifications, fallouts, Congress having...
Oh, the political part of it?
Yeah, that's all politics.
About ego, then. It's all about the president's ego, then. Because he's afraid that people might not like him, and then the ratings will go down.
Well, no, maybe that's an ego thing, but I think most of it's politics. I don't think that's ego at all. That's actually just how the system works. Because if you do something that pisses off Congress, for the lack of a better phrase, you're not going to get anything else passed. Mm-hmm. He's a lame duck anyway, but at that point in time, what are you going to do?
Well, some of them were yesterday. So what about the opposite? What if somebody says, O.J. was found not guilty? Dear Mr. President, before you leave office, would you please say he is guilty? Could you do the opposite?
No. Because then you're taking away someone's rights. And then that's just giving one person too much power.
Oh, wow.
It's an interesting world we live in. All right. The phone lines are open if you have a question for Vanessa. Maybe you were in something less serious than what we're talking about. A car accident, for example.
That's more serious.
Do you know one of the ladies who comes in here thought that her car had been hit in the parking lot. And thought that her whole bumper was shattered. But all it was, and I don't know how this happened, she doesn't know, it was epoxy. And it got all over the bumper, and it looked like cracks all over it.
Oh, wow.
And then the mechanic said, no, that's epoxy. And I guess he somehow got it off with a hairdryer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
That is.
How's epoxy flying around out on the streets?
It's SoCal. You never know. Stranger things.
Have you had environmental things you had to defend?
No. I had some OSHA things, but no. Environment's outside of my wheelhouse.
OSHA things?
Yeah.
Like what?
It's wrongful termination because it was an employment case. So there was OSHA complaints, but then we had to go through. I had to learn the process because he was already going through on his own the OSHA, and he needed a little bit of help. So we did.
What does OSHA stand for? Occupational
safety and.
Oh, okay.
There's other ones. There's a company in town. They had a fire. And they had to close. They had to lay off all of their workers, and they couldn't do the manufacturing.
Okay.
But now they're recouping themselves, and they're going to hire the workers back. Well, the workers that are hoping to come back, they said that once they get back there, they're all going to be hired like they were brand new. Nobody has seniority anymore. Is that something they can fight?
No, because they were let go.
Oh,
And
okay.
they are being hired as brand new. Unless there was a contract or they had some kind
Well,
of
that's the
agreement.
potato chip factory you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one on 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because she has to work 2 jobs right now to supplement her income from her one job over there. And then when they had the fire, they had to lay everybody off. And now they're in the process of rebuilding and rehiring, but they're all going to come in as new hires and no seniority.
Wow. That's rough for them.
Yeah,
But
so they
the
can't
company's
fight
able
that.
to do it. Not to the best of my knowledge. Unless there's a contract that says,
But that's a private business,
Oh,
so they
okay.
can do whatever they want, right?
for the most part, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have regulations, and there's certain things you can't discriminate against certain things, and you can't.
That's why I never asked for a
retaliate.
raise. Because I always figure if I ask for a raise, then Dan can fire me, and then I can come back in and start at the bottom again.
Why is, why is Dan firing you?
Why?
We can fight it. Dan. Don't listen, Dan. Didn't say that.
All right. Can we take a little break? I know you just got here, but let's take a
Sure.
little break, and we'll just keep it short, keep it 1 minute long. And if you have any questions for Vanessa, we invite you to call in. The number is 622-9622. We'll be right back.
We all know the importance of good health, but we may not know the latest advances in medicine that are available to us. Monday at 9 a.m., Bern Paraiso will be our roving medical reporter to tell us about Seven Hill Gastroenterology PA and Dr. Reddy. We'll discuss screening, techniques, and more. So tune in and listen. This is more than news you can use. It's news that could save your life. That's Monday at 9:05 a.m.
You've heard about Canterfield of Ocala, a new class in assisted living. Hi, I'm Joe, inviting you to join me Friday, the 27th at 3 p.m. for the grand opening ceremonies. Canterfield is an extraordinarily new community designed to offer various levels of care. And here is your opportunity to see firsthand the exceptional care and hospitality provided at Canterfield. 9589 Southwest State Road 200, Ocala, Florida is the location. Friday, the 27th is the day, and 3 p.m. is the time. Come celebrate with us at Canterfield of Ocala.
All right, 7 minutes before 11 o'clock. If you are just tuning in, Vanessa Lane Jennings is in the studio from the Jennings Law Firm here in Ocala. If you ever have a legal problem, Vanessa is so smart. You can see her brain working when we ask her questions. And just sit down with Vanessa and go to her office. If you want to ask a question on the air, we would love to have you ask. However, we know the nature of usually a legal situation is pretty serious and pretty much of a burden, right? It's a burden on your shoulders when you have legal problems, right? Unless it's just write up a will or something. Do you do a lot of them?
I do, but even then, that's hard for people.
Really?
Because then they're facing their own mortality at that point in their life. And that's never fun for them.
Well, then sometimes, though, the will has to be changed. And how do you handle something like that then?
You make the changes.
I want to do my will.
Do you have to draft a whole new will, or can you put in, like,
Well, it depends on if I have
Clauses.
people who come back and they're getting remarried or they're getting they've had a child and they want to add specific gifts or they want to change one thing or another. So what they'll end up doing is they'll come to me and then I have it in a Word document. So I just make the changes and print it off.
Oh,
and sign it.
okay.
So it's fairly simple. If I've created it, if I haven't, then we go through the whole process and we start over again.
and everything's all new dates and everything. So if somebody had a copy of the old will, they couldn't come and fight the new one.
Correct. And there's language that says that they cancel, revoke all previous wills and codicils.
Oh, okay.
So that way, all the old stuff is no good, and this is the valid one.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
We've got 5 minutes left. It's always interesting to talk about these things. So it's hard for you, it sounds like, to... Well, no, I don't think it's hard for you, but I think it's important for you to differentiate between the professional attorney you are and the personal feelings you have. So how hard is that to separate in the courtroom?
It's not hard for me because I'm built that way. I don't know how to say that any other
Yeah, I
way.
think I know what you mean.
But that's just how my brain works. But I grew up in a different environment because my parents owned funeral homes. So I grew up separating emotion from work. So for me, I look at someone comes in and it's a work case. There's certain ones though that I don't want to say drag you in, or suck you in, but that's what they do. They drag you and suck you in. And there's a lot of emotion and they're volatile.
Somehow become emotional.
And you become part of it. But I would say
What do you do then when that happens?
you realize that it's happened and then you go, okay, that needs to not happen. And you take a step back because it's not my case. I mean, they're my client, but that's not my case. That's their case.
It's their case, yeah.
So that's their emotion. That's their burden. And it sounds crass, but by keeping emotion out, by doing that, you're able to look at things objectively. And that's why you hire an attorney, is so they can look at things objectively and that they don't become part of it. And that's why they say that you should never be your own attorney when you are an attorney. So if, anything ever happens and I need an attorney.
Especially if you're not an attorney. So, and that brings us back to the thing I first brought up, which is about this guy Lloyd, right? What's his name? Markeith Lloyd? Okay.
Yes.
So he's got a case that has a certain amount of notoriety to it, which means there's going to be a public following of this case.
Absolutely.
High profile, they call it, right?
That is what they call them.
Okay.
Yes.
So he has put doubt into the public's mind that maybe he didn't kill his girlfriend.
Or was his intent, but
Right.
poorly done.
Poorly done.
But that was his attempt.
That was his intent, yeah.
That's not how you do that one.
So how do you as an attorney handle a case that's high profile like that? Does the public opinion matter at all?
It does to a small degree, because no matter what, even though your jury, you don't know who your jury pool is right now. I mean, you have no idea, and theoretically, they're not supposed to be involved in the case, and they're not supposed to do it. But when it gets so high profile and it's going on everywhere, it's it's hard to find people who haven't heard about the case and who are going to be,
like that girl Casey. What was her name?
Casey Anthony.
Yeah, like that one, right?
And O.J. Simpson, too. I mean, that was huge.
That was a
But
big
he
one.
was famous before his case. She wasn't. She became famous because of it.
Right.
Right. She was infamous.
Or infamous, yeah.
Right. He was famous. She was infamous. He is now infamous.
Right.
He crossed over.
Right. He crossed over. We put an IN onto it. Like
Right.
Bill Cosby.
He gained some letters.
Bill Cosby was famous. Now he's infamous.
Yeah.
Correct. Sometimes
Although
that
not found
happens.
guilty of anything in his case, right?
Doesn't mean he's not infamous.
Right. I think you're right. I think you're right with that one. Gosh, what else can we talk about that's so fascinating? Not that we have time to, but I mean,
In our 2 minutes that we have left.
You're a stimulating person.
Very.
The conversations we can have with you are so stimulating. Does that ever happen with your clients? Do they ever get into like these discussions, like play mental chess with you and that kind of thing?
A few do.
Yeah?
A few find it interesting. But most of them, saying this as politically correct as I can, they're more concerned about why they're there.
Yeah, they should be.
Right, which is 100%. I'm not saying that at
Yeah.
all. But that's just how it is. It's their issues, and that's what you're there for, is to help them.
Just listening to this part of the broadcast week shows us that you are who you are because of that savvy that you demonstrate. So go to the Jennings Law Firm, and the phone number is
352-804-0092.
And the address is
2945 Northeast 3rd Street, Ocala, Florida 34470.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. In the nation's capital, dignitaries arriving for President-elect Trump's inauguration. The president and first lady welcoming the Trumps for tea at the White House. The couple's departing for the Capitol. Meanwhile, protesters on the National Mall